Welcome back to VL Speaks with You. I am Virna Lisa. This is episode 9, and this episode is devoted to Earth Day. Let's face it, every day is Earth Day. We're on the planet. This whole month is actually Earth Month, but today is Earth Day. And I want to talk about what's going on underneath our very feet and we don't even know it. It's easy to think about it when you're in the forest, which is a great place to be any time of year. And I hope that you have had some time in the forest, especially after it rains. Even while it's raining, it's pretty remarkable. And I bring up rain because there's something that we notice that comes up through the forest floor or even on some tree bark, whether the tree is alive or not, and that's mushrooms or fungi. Now, mushrooms are actually the fruit of a fungal organism, a fungal network that's going on. It's living and sustaining life underneath the ground we walk upon. It's pretty incredible. And it's happening all over the world. Everywhere you go that you see some land and you see some trees and other plants growing, there is something called a mycorrhizal fungal network that is thriving underneath there. And it is huge in the health. It is a very important component to the health of those trees. So it's made up of something called mycelium. They're like these threads. And so this organism, when it becomes, it's a network. Or one forester, a German gentleman who is a contemporary, he's alive, he's a forester, scientist, and author. His name is, I hope I say his name right. I'm actually going to look at it again because I looked a few times to make sure that I got this right. Wollenben, Peter Wollenben. Forgive me. But he calls it the wood wide web. So this wood wide web, it is completely, it engulfs and wraps itself around root system and it bores through the roots of trees. And it is part of the system that transfers nutrients from plants and trees, things like water, nitrogen, carbon. And of course, it gets what it needs. It's a symbiotic relationship, which is incredibly intelligent. Nature is incredibly intelligent. And the trees are incredibly intelligent. I mean, I've read about this before, but I got some confirmation on something that I've been doing for decades. And that is whenever I would walk into a forest, I was looking for a huge tree. And in forestry, they consider this a hub tree or the mother tree. And that's what I would always call it, the mother tree. And sometimes I would see another large one. I would say, oh, and that's the father tree. But it just so happens that the mother tree is super connected to a lot of the trees around it. And let's face it, you go into a forest, there's trees everywhere. But this large tree can even sense when there's a sapling, especially if they're the same species and it's an offshoot of a family, essentially. That mother tree can sense if that tree needs more nutrients, if it's in distress, if it's sick, or if it's young and it just needs a little more help. And to think about this, it's really astounding how this symbiotic relationship is existing and there's no like, oh, I'm not getting enough. Do you know what I mean? Like somehow humans behave. Nature, there's an abundance of nature and there's something for everyone. Like nothing's getting left out. So this is going on underneath the soil. There are animals that are partaking of the plants. I mean, there's a ton of things going on in this ecosystem and it sustains itself. And as long as humans don't too much interfering, things usually balance themselves out. They find a way over time to balance themselves out and to stays healthy. And it provides vitality for us. I mean, oxygen, no small thing, right? So I wanted to start off on that note because that's inspiring. I don't know if you're inspired by it, but maybe the next time you look outside, you go, what are we putting on the lawn, hun? Or what is that landscaper doing by the office building? How is that going to affect the mycorrhizal network that's keeping all the trees alive and all the plants. I am hoping that you will start thinking that when you look outside your window, aside from the fact, like, what a beautiful day, and aren't those trees fantastic, and look at those flowers. Wow, they're really going gangbusters. Not to mention what's going on with the symphony of birds, because that's happening whether we think about it or not. It also makes you think about what else is going on the planet, right? So we can think about what's happening right within our homes, and then we could also think about what's going on digging for oil in the middle of the ocean, digging for more precious metals into the core of the planet. It's very disruptive to the planet to do those things. But amazingly enough, human beings, some of them, not all of them, they have the hubris and the arrogance to think that they have every right to do that, and not only to do it, but to profit from it. And not just make like enough money to live, but like really live high on the hog. And then all of the waste that is produced from doing that, and not to mention the human exploitation. Does it sound preachy? I'm just delivering news. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying think about it, folks. Think about it. Because as a consumer, you've got a lot of control. As a consumer, you don't have to purchase things that you don't want to purchase. You could say, no, I don't want to buy that. I'd rather buy this. I'd rather invest in something like this that is going to be beneficial for me and for the planet. That's why I bring it up. Because you as a consumer have a choice, and you have free will to use that choice wisely and to make healthier decisions. So I want to talk about something that you also have control of, and that's how much waste you produce. I got some figures from the World Bank. Yeah, they love figures and stats. They're really good at that, pie charts and all that jazz. So I found some report called World Bank 2050. So they're extrapolating and using all of this data that we have now and saying, okay, this is what's going to possibly be happening in 2050. We got to worry about now, because time's not up, but the time is now to be making changes, more drastic changes. So this is something that can help you address something that is going on in your own household, whether you are alone or you live with a family. The first thing is the amount of waste that's created annually. It said the world, well, humans, annually, all over the world are producing 2.01 billion tons of waste. 33% of that waste is being managed conservatively, extremely conservatively. So meaning it's being picked up, it's being brought to wherever the garbage is brought to. Hopefully they're separating, recycling, and there's of course lots of landfills involved. Moving on, more statistics. So that's the world, right? And 33% of it is managed conservatively, extremely conservatively. Okay. Per person, a quarter pound to 10 pounds of waste is being produced per day by one person. It could be anywhere from a quarter pound to 10 pounds of waste. Think about your home. How many people are in the home? How many bags of garbage are you throwing out? And that's just, recycling is in there too. You can count recycling. Hopefully everybody's recycling, or reusing and reducing. But that's included. Okay, now, remember that 2.01 billion that I talked about? 34% of that waste is produced by 16% of the population in high-income countries. 34% or 683 million tons. 683 million tons. So that's something to think about because every single person is part of that, right? We're part of the population. We're not outside of what's going on here. We're definitely involved with that. So that's big. That's a lot of garbage. And if we want a healthy economy, we've got to have a healthy ecology. So we have to be mindful of the waste that we're producing, and we have to be mindful of what we're buying and why we're buying it. What is compelling you to buy something? I mean, you do have to buy food. Is it packaged in plastic, and is that plastic recyclable? That is an honest and important question to ask yourself when you're shopping. And because you are the consumer and there's going to be more than one choice, you can decide, do I want that or do I want to make a healthier choice? Is it organic? Does it make a difference? Yes, I know things are tight, super tight money-wise. Everything is getting expensive in the food department. Absolutely. So then we get to the next level, which is how much do you need? Really? How much food do you really need to live a healthy life? What is the consumption? And what is important to you? Your health, hopefully, number one, is on the docket. And then how much? Because that's going to equate to waste. And then how do you manage the waste? These are important things. Is that a downer? I don't know. Is it? Is the planet important? Yeah. Do you want to continue to live on the planet? Yeah. So then it's worth thinking about. For sure. Absolutely. I mean, doing this little kind of exercise with yourself and with your family to say, how much are we creating? Okay, how much do we buy? What is it packaged in? Where did it come from? What's the shelf life of this package? Do I even really want this? Is this a product that's going to wind up in my garage? Or is it going to wind up in your storage unit somewhere? These are the questions to ask yourself. And can it be passed on to someone else that may need it? These are important things to take inventory of. Because remember, the planet does not need us to survive. It would probably do better if we were not here. The animals don't need us either. They've got all that system. Those systems are working. They work well when they are not interfered with by humans. We're supposed to be here, enjoy it, be in awe of it, respect it, conserve it, preserve it, and respect it. Very important that we respect it. Because if we respected it, as humans, we wouldn't do what we do. If there wasn't this level of arrogance, like take, give nothing back, it'd be a different world. Totally different world. But you have a choice. You can make different choices. I was thinking about how much I enjoy watching nature. Forests, ocean, mountaintop. It could be a park in the middle of the city. Listening to the birds absolutely puts me at ease. On Instagram, which if you're following me on there, you know that I'm all about nature. And I was watching a clip of a video of people totally invading the space of a silverback family. Literally, like they were around these, younger trees and they were eating. People were just stepping in front of them, around them, trying to get pictures. And obviously somebody was taking this video. And I thought to myself, how would you feel if a silverback family came in and invaded your space? And how dangerous and arrogant to do what they were doing. If that male silverback had gotten upset, I mean, humans would have been ripped to shreds within seconds, and then they would have shot the gorilla. But it was the arrogance and the hubris that these people had. I also saw a clip. I mean, that's one example of humans not getting it. Yeah, you want to connect with nature, but what you're doing is off the rails. I saw another footage about, and this is the intelligence of animals here. A porpoise had a plastic bag just kind of holding it right at the tip of its mouth, went over to a fishing boat where someone was obviously filming and was like, here. And so the human took the bag and the porpoise kind of swims back a little bit and is vertical and gives like a side glance like, mm-hmm. And then they give it some fish. Like, here you go, our little pet. Thank you for bringing us that plastic bag. I'm sure that fish was just like, dude, take your crap out of here. This is my home. But just incredible intelligence. You know, these animals know. They must know. And how humans don't is beyond me. There's plenty of evidence. You know. So the high note is things are happening without us even knowing it. And this beautiful planet is sustaining us. And that's why we call it Mother Earth, because she sustains us, provides us with everything that we need. Everything that we need to live a healthy life. And so what are we going to do in return? Take care of it. You take care of yourself, that means you will be taking care of the planet and its inhabitants. And that is the very least, as humans, that we can do. At the very least. All right. Examine your home. Examine yourself. And get outside and say thank you to the sun and the stars. Thank you for doing what you do. And I didn't even deserve it. I was just born. Say thank you. Well, thank you for stopping by and thank you for listening. And I hope that you have a lovely weekend. See you next time. Ciao.